literally came out as we were coming on the air, and I will read the official tweet because literally everyone that you follow
all
on
we
Twitter
have. Yeah.
tweeted the same exact thing. Justin Herbert diagnosed with plantar fasciitis in his right foot. I had this. I had to get a shot in my foot, which is the single most painful thing I've endured in my 41 years on this planet. And since then, I've never tried running outside again. I'm also a wuss, and I don't play professional football. This has got to hurt so much. It's unbelievable. God bless these professional athletes. Per the Chargers, doctors have recommended approximately 2 weeks in a boot, followed by a graduated return to play protocol. As Ken said, sounds like a Roger Goodell initiative, which features like a Cam Newton in a commercial, with
Right.
the expectation that Herbert will be ready for the start of the regular season. So look, maybe Herbert's ready for week 1 against the Raiders. Maybe he's not. We can kind of bandy this about as if he is or if he isn't and try to figure out if there are any valuable bets to make. So we'll get back to the week 1 game against the Raiders in a moment. All the 3.5s are gone. Even at BetMGM, we're now sitting Chargers -3. Good job by Ken identifying that. It took all of 10 minutes for that number to get nuked. We are sitting on Chargers -3 now for week number 1. So why don't we roll through some awards here, Ken, and how like this Herbert, if he's going to be injured, if he's out, how it impacts things. And just to reiterate here for our audience, MVP, where Herbert was the 6th choice on the board at 14-1. He misses, and we didn't like him anyway, but he's going to miss any time, and you would cross him off the list entirely here or close to it.
Yeah, I have him as someone that I'm not betting at all going into the season, healthy or not. So just to be really clear on that, if it comes out in 3 weeks that he's going to play in week 1, I'll have, and there are about 6 or 7 quarterbacks I like and I think are very likely to win that pool. We did it on the show very briefly. He's not in that group, so I will have none to open the season, even if he plays, none to open the season. But you start throwing additional red flags into it or additional negative things. He misses a game. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. First of all, I would never bet him now. I'd like it. Let this, even if you are the most contrarian human on earth and you love Justin Herbert and you think he can win MVP this year, your time to bet this is basically like whenever you think the price is going to be the most advantageous, which is putting it really simply, that might be in the next couple weeks because he's going to be in the boot and you know he is. It might be when he's declared out if you're like really in. I'll just tell you, like, if he misses a game, it's a 0. He's kind of a 0 for me anyway. He doesn't make a lot of sense to me historically as a winner. I don't think they're going to win enough games for him to win. Like an 11-win season is a big accomplishment for this team, and even that amount of wins wouldn't get him the award. Like it's got to be like 14-3 to win, and if he misses any time, it's going to be really, really tough. So I think I was crossing him off anyway. Now I think even if you don't share our opinion, you have to probably cross him off until you're told that he's playing week 1, and you can reassess from there.
Subjectively, how do you now feel like through the prism of the Herbert injury about the Chargers?
I'll give you 3 things. One, some of them will be great, and some of them will be that I wish this hadn't happened. First one, I think it does make Coach of the Year slightly more difficult because I was really ready to be 0 Harbaugh going into the season and feel good about it. And not that I could be wrong, but I would have been confident that I think the winner doesn't come from him and the other coaches that I've kind of dismissed for this award. I think I could have narrowed it to a smaller pool. Now you have to keep one of the favorites in the pool. That's going to hurt your ability to bet into the market, even, doing all the things that are smart, price shopping, reading a lot, paying attention to voters. His presence with this injury hurts your ability to bet into this market because it takes the favorite and it actually means he still needs to be one of the favorites. So that's tough. That's like a tough. Now, they can start 0-3, then he probably doesn't have to be in the bucket anymore. But he's live and more live than he was before Justin Herbert got hurt. And even if it's in a small way. Second thing, as much as that door potentially closes, maybe a window opens in week 1. And I really, really like to bet games that have injury news in them because I think most of the time it's an overreaction that the market does rather than the right reaction. And we are being possibly given an opportunity where one way or another, that's going to happen. And we talked about that already in the first segment, so won't belabor that point. The third thing, and you could even speak to this more, when you have those things, so let's say Herbert does come back in week 1, it's all good. I know I didn't play in the preseason, I'm going to play. We're probably going to bet the Raiders at a pretty big number probably in that game, something like 3.5. Okay, maybe it goes okay. What we also know is this is like a pretty nagging injury a lot of the time, and this is pretty tough. So over the course of 4 months, yeah, maybe you're just a little more skeptical about how this is going to go. And if you're a little more skeptical about them, that means almost by rule, you need to be a little more optimistic about other teams. And I know you like Denver a lot, and I think there are some reasons to like Denver. So I'm kind of with you on that. I mean, this is a valuable piece of information if you have bet Denver stuff already. This is another team in the division that's dealing with something really significant.
The Chargers' backup quarterback is Easton Stick. Easton Stick played a number of games last year after Justin Herbert got hurt. Was not atrocious, but is obviously not great. Threw for 3 touchdowns in the game where they lost 63-21, the game that got Brandon Staley fired against the Raiders. Played pretty well against the Bills in that near upset close to Christmas, and then a couple duds at the end of the year against the Broncos and the Chiefs. So he's like an average backup quarterback, I would say. And Herbert, obviously one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I have no inside information. This news has just come out. What I would just say about Justin Herbert, what we know about Justin Herbert, we remember a couple years, was it last year or 2 years ago?
No, it was 2 years ago. Game
it was
1
2
to game
years
2.
ago.
Yep.
Because we were in Vegas, right, for the Thursday night game against the Chiefs.
Game 2 Thursday night. It was game 2 Thursday
into
night.
game
Week
3.
2.
So Herbert hurts his shoulder in that Thursday night loss to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
We number grabbed that game right against the Jaguars.
Yes.
The following week, and then the Jaguars absolutely beat the piss out of them, and the whole thing was Herbert actually talked his way into playing in the game. The doctors wanted to sit Herbert in that game against the Jaguars. Herbert ends up playing in the game. The Jaguars end up killing them in the game, which is not immaterial to the point, but just hey, that's kind of what happened. So my guess is you'll see that again from Herbert. I don't know if he'll prove successful.
New coach.
He's definitely going to try and play, and a new coach now in Jim Harbaugh, and maybe Harbaugh will just be you sit this one down. I don't know how this is going to go. Kind of dealing with incomplete information. So, Ken, I kind of think your analysis is pretty spot on. If you want to do anything right now, probably just take the 3.5 with the Raiders. It's a number that's already moved towards Vegas since it opened. Believe that opened 4.5, 4, and has gotten bet down a little bit. So obviously, huge news here where Justin Herbert won't practice anymore, obviously, in the training camp. He's not going to play in preseason, which is bad, trying to develop this new offense here with Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh. So yeah, it's a nice curveball for us to get thrown literally right at the start of the show today.
Yeah, it feels a little, it's not the same, but it feels a little Joe Burrow-esque from last year, where there's just a really, really important franchise quarterback that has injury concerns going into the preseason, doesn't end up playing, and then Herbert's probably not going to play in the preseason now, you would imagine, especially even the way this is written. I think you can almost prematurely declare him out for the entire preseason. Why would they play him? And, I mean, the first 2 games he's still going to be in a boot. And we know what happens in week 1 if he tries to play, too. And this doesn't have to be what happened to Burrow last year, where he played against the Browns and was one of the worst games the Bengals played all season. But we know the stats on quarterbacks that don't play in the preseason and that their teams don't score a lot, and those games go under, and those quarterbacks don't play very well. And so it's almost like we have, I think, our first NFL entrant into the basically I think we're going to play this game against the news either way when we get there. So what I mean by that is, if we get to September, this is how I'm going to play the game. You can play it however you want. If you want to bet the Raiders 3.5, by the way, I will almost guarantee you it doesn't exist in an hour. There's 2 more places just went to 3. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't even mean you're in great because we have incomplete information. Just if you're the kind of person that likes to bet numbers that don't exist, Raiders 3.5 seems like a pretty good idea. It seems like it's not going to be 3.5 everywhere forever. The total is also dropping because, again, if Herbert's not going to play in the game, the Raiders are more likely to win and there's less likely to be points. So the total was 43, and now it's 42.5 in a bunch of places. So that's what's happening there. 68 degrees in Central Park in Los Angeles, California with Justin Herbert. And your voice doing that. Now I do that all the time. I pause and then I just think about saying that. So I think how I would probably think about playing the game to start out with is, you know what we do on the show. We see really, really important news and information get put into a betting market, and we see it have a big reaction sometimes, and we like to wait and play against that. And if he's going to miss this game and it's going to close pick or something, Chargers a small favorite, a lot of stuff has to happen between now and then. It's going to close way less than this if he doesn't play in the game. That would be to play the Chargers at a very reduced price when they have 5 weeks to figure out, with one of the best coaches in the league, how to figure out how to solve this. That's pretty interesting. Or you play the Jags angle, which is we get to the start of the season. Week of the season. Justin Herbert, I'm playing week 1. Number gets bet back out, and it's Joe Burrow against the Browns all over again. It's the same thing. It's, let's see what this looks like, and it's probably going to look really bad because he hasn't played a lot. So I mean, we don't even know whether he's playing or not. Those are the two angles I'd think about playing. He decides like to man up and play and hasn't practiced at all. Bet the Raiders, wait for the market to settle, bet the Raiders back the other way. He misses, wait to the last possible second, bet the Chargers. And whatever it's going to be, it ain't going to be this. So there's a number grab. Everywhere has gone to 3 except one book, by the way. So I didn't even have to take an hour, but you get the idea. But I don't know
King
if
of
that
Sportsbook
bet's going to
still
win.
hanging 3.5.
I have no idea. So, rawr. We've had a couple hours now to process Justin Herbert injury news, and look, that we still don't know anything concretely. We don't know week 1 availability, but it does call into question kind of everything. And look, this is an injury. Anybody who follows any professional sport, you see plantar fasciitis tied to any player, and it's oh no, and this is going to be a thing the whole year, and this is going to be something that kind of drives you crazy if you play fantasy or you want to bet on this team or this player. So you saw that news. I mean, did you bet something right away when you saw it, just like in anticipation? Have you thought about the Chargers differently? Because if you think Vegas is going to be bad, how you feel about the Chargers, like maybe there's some opportunity even to still win some games. Maybe you like Kansas City and Denver instead.
Yeah, it's kind of tough, especially because they play week 1. Like, I think my initial reaction was like, oh, like, go bet against the Chargers in week 1. You never know if Herbert's really going to be 100% or healthy. And then again, like I am very much not on the Raiders. So like the line and the market didn't really disagree with that. I mean, it's -3, -110 in most spots, I think, right now. So it didn't really move too much either way. Seems like they're expecting to be active. I think with the Chargers, though, like they're going to look a lot different than what we're used to in terms of them running much more. Greg Roman offense, probably going to be Josh Palmer, Ladd McConkey a lot out there. I foresee them just going really run heavy and then moving the chains when they have to with Justin Herbert. So like I think having less pressure on Herbert to be the guy and to be the focal point at all times kind of helps alleviate some of the injury concerns here that we have with the plantar fasciitis right off the top here. So hopefully he can get healthy. I'm not necessarily super high on the Chargers as a team specifically, but again, obviously the fate of the Raiders here helps if the Chargers are pretty good.